Of the cast of characters established as the ninjas in the earliest Mortal Kombat games, before all of them were given more distinct looks from each other, and even as those appearances changed over time, after Scorpion and Sub-Zero, the most easily identifiable and recognizable character of the group is Reptile, the Green Ninja. In later games, Reptile barely possesses any outward resemblance to a ninja, owing in large part to not having a human appearance, unlike the first Mortal Kombat games. So, who is this character? Let's find out and get under the skin of Reptile, Mortal Kombat's acid-spewing, cold-blooded killer. Regardless of other aspects of his appearance, Reptile, real name Syzoth, is a green-clad reptilian warrior. Reptile was actually a secret character in the first Mortal Kombat game, the third ninja amongst the original warriors Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Reptile is of a race known as the Saurians, an evolution of the dinosaurs, and also native to Earthrealm, along with many of the other heroes. The Saurians resemble raptors and also possess unique abilities, such as turning invisible or generally altering their appearance to look more human. Saurians can spit highly powerful acid that can even damage other Saurians. While the Saurians once thrived on Earthrealm, they were forced to flee to Zaterra, claimed by the Outworld. Zaterra, much like the rest of Outworld, possesses a bleak and desolate landscape. Despite this, the Saurians successfully colonized and found a new home in Zaterra until Shao Kahn rose to power and conquered Zaterra, driving the Saurians to near extinction with few survivors, one such person being Reptile. That Reptile remains one of the few survivors significantly informs his actions in the Mortal Kombat series. It is his goal to find other Saurians, reconnect with that lost aspect of his identity, and restore Saurian civilization. The Saurians have higher intelligence and the ability to look human. This is reflected in Reptile's designs as well. Reptile is otherwise a highly powerful warrior whom it might seem suffers from his single-minded goal to find other Saurians, even if this trait is essential to his race or even his psyche. Continued separation from Saurians seems to have greatly damaged Reptile's mind and creating a weakened sense of self, further exacerbated by the disregard often shown to him by the authority figures he aligns with. The greater ambitions of either the heroes or the villains are not as important to Reptile, but he typically ends up allying with villains such as Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn because he thinks it is expedient to his Saurian-oriented goals. His ambitions are neither noble nor ignoble, in that sense just completely self-serving. That being said, Reptile still doesn't exactly lack loyalty. He doesn't betray the people he swears to serve, but instead is extremely loyal. He simply behaves assuming that absolute loyalty is both worthwhile and that it will help him restore Saurian civilization. This isn't to say that he doesn't harm others or upset others' personal agendas. It's just that he has a primary allegiance to a narrower set of people that is stronger compared to his relationship with others. That being said, his loyalty to others is ultimately secondary to achieving the restoration of the Saurians. Reptile maintains this morally neutral characterization throughout both the Midway games and NetherRealm continuities. As a reminder, the Midway games continuities comprise the Mortal Kombat mythology expressed throughout all titles developed by Midway Games. The NetherRealm continuities comprise the games developed under the recently formed NetherRealm Studios, itself a reformed and reborn version of Midway Games as it filed for bankruptcy and was then later acquired by Warner Bros. Reptile, on average, is generally depicted with a more evil characterization in the Midway Games continuity by keeping bad company. In the first Mortal Kombat game, he serves as the bodyguard of the villain Shang Tsung, and is otherwise not an active participant in the Mortal Kombat tournament as the other fighters are. Reptile is playable in Mortal Kombat 2, but according to canon, he was not more influential than simply serving Shao Kahn, though Shao Kahn did promise that he would restore Saurian civilization here if Reptile obeyed him. In Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn presents Reptile with an opportunity to fulfill this transaction by instructing him to kill Kitana. However, the mission is botched as the female ninja Jade betrays him to help Kitana. Shao Kahn is later defeated and Reptile is brought as a prisoner to Edenia and tried for genocide, and then exiled to NetherRealm. Mortal Kombat 4 sees Reptile teaming with Shinnok, still convinced of his goal to restore the Saurians, but Shinnok is defeated and Reptile is left at square one. By the time of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Reptile was losing the ability to project a human appearance, and his mental capacity was weakening. Still allied with Shao Kahn, he is instructed to speak to Shang Tsung on Shao Kahn's behalf, but he overhears Shang Tsung and Quan Chi plotting to kill Shao Kahn. He also later encounters Natara, who reveals to him where Kitana is located and gifted him with a Saurian weapon known as the Kirahashi Blade. Reptile is unable to make use of these developments when he later finds Shao Kahn slain. In Mortal Kombat Deception, Reptile allies himself with Natara, but quickly learns that Natara herself strung Reptile along for her own use. Her plan was to goad Reptile away from Shao Kahn so that he would not be able to protect Shao Kahn from any of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi's machinations, and for Reptile to incapacitate Cyrax so that she could use him for herself, both of which went according to plan. And in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, as with many other characters, Reptile dies, aligning himself with evil in the final fight. Reptile's trajectory in the NetherRealm continuity in terms of influence is about the same as with the Midway Games continuity. In Mortal Kombat 2011, he loses to Johnny Cage, Smoke, a fight Reptile loses even while teaming with Shang Tsung, Sub-Zero, and Curtis Stryker. Otherwise, he is an obedient pawn in the machinations of Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn. The Mortal Kombat 10 comics describes his first encounter with Kotal Kahn, unrelated to Shao Kahn, who almost assassinated him per Shao Kahn's orders in response to his failures. Shao Kahn later appoints Kotal Kahn as Reptile's commander despite disagreeing with Kotal's decision to spare Reptile. Despite knowing this, Reptile would come to be fully loyal to Kotal Kahn, starting Mortal Kombat 10 as someone within Kotal's inner circle. He supports Kotal in his ambition to overthrow Mileena as the Emperor of Outworld, claiming that Mileena has no inherent right to the throne as she is not actually Shao Kahn's daughter, but made by Shang Tsung. Mileena ultimately loses against Kotal here, with Ermac defecting to Kotal's side and Baraka killed in an ensuing battle. Later, on a mission with Ermac and Aaron Black, and with Kotal established as Outworld Emperor, this Outworld team is confronted by a team of Earthrealmers, who are on the run in Outworld: Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, Kung Jin, and Takeda. The Outworld team loses to the Earthrealmers. Defeated, Reptile and the others report that former Kotal ally Devora had escaped with Shinnok's amulet, suspecting her of working with the Earthrealm. Kotal responds by declaring war on Earthrealm, and a team of his elite operatives, along with dozens of soldiers, eventually encounter the same Earthrealm team that defeated Reptile, Ermac, and Aaron Black. While the Earthrealm team is overwhelmed by the Outworlders here, the Lin Kuei, the clan of ninjas under Sub-Zero, later assist them in escaping, thus ending Kotal's attempted invasion so far as we know it. With the Midway Games continuity closed, only discussing Reptile's future character developments in the NetherRealm studios is important. Though in attempting to predict what may lie ahead for Reptile, it has to be said that, for the purposes of comparison, Reptile's lot never really improved throughout the Midway Games continuity. He was consistently in service to various people, and never got closer to his goal, nor did his state of mind really improve. Reptile was frequently aligned with evil characters, and ultimately was never acting towards any altruistic or good objective. In Mortal Kombat 2011, Reptile, despite the different course of events that comprise his storyline, would have otherwise seemed set to simply be a foot soldier in others' agenda, varying successfully in achieving other people's objectives with little to say for his own stake. But the introduction of Kotal Kahn in Mortal Kombat 10 would seem to introduce more stability to the character. It is not likely that Reptile will act in the interest of good or along with Earthrealm warriors. This has never been part of his characterization, though tragic as it may seem if you take that angle, that Reptile is denied a chance at a normal life. You could perhaps compare Reptile's goal of restoring Saurian civilization to Scorpion's and his arc with the Shirai Ryu, or Sub-Zero's much more difficult relationship with the Lin Kuei, which Sub-Zero had to reform from widespread corruption. But in both continuities, Scorpion and Sub-Zero display instances of their humanity that point to something greater than themselves despite their failures. This is never seen with Reptile. There are characters who can promise to restore the Saurians, but they likely know that they never need to follow up on it and can simply keep Reptile in line with a promise and extract services from him regardless of whether or not the Saurians are ever restored. Otherwise, Reptile doesn't seem to show much regard for the well-being of others outside of his own self-interests. He sometimes possesses an important role in the schemes of others, but his independence, at whatever state it exists, is continuously conditional, if one is to make the argument that his moral state and mental state are tied to his psychological empowerment. Optimistically, he may become a more influential and effective fighter, even perhaps someone with more political clout, but not much else can be really said. Compared to other characters, his future is far more open-ended. And that concludes our evaluation of the full story of Reptile. Reptile is a mostly simple character without heavy centralizing involvement in the course of the Mortal Kombat mythology, but is still a great character to study and is iconic nonetheless. Looking forward to learning more about Reptile in Mortal Kombat 11? Well, let us know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.